We got Balancer doing that same move from the March-April high coming up to the 200 MA. So I mean, this is the same concept, guys. We are seeing not just one or two, dozens of assets doing this. Which of these altcoins are potentially the future FANG stocks for Web3? And are you holding any? What's up, guys? Kate here with another crypto update. Happy Friday to all and hope everybody's doing well today. So we're going to dive into price charts, but I also want to go over some critical crypto news that is really painting a picture for the future. I'm going to be flying out tomorrow, so if I have time, I'm going to try to do another video today. I still have to pack, going to actually visit my parents, and it's been almost a year without seeing them, which is crazy. And, you know, as your relatives and loved ones get older, you always just imagine, you know, if they have 10 years left or 20 years left, and if you see them once a year, I know that sounds terrible, but that's only 10 or 20 more times of seeing them. So always trying to keep that perspective. But anyway, so looking at the Algo price chart, as we know, over the past year, alts have absolutely been crushed. And I mean, for example, Algo basically drops 90% from the high back in September. Other alts are a clean 90%. Some are as far as like 95 or even 99% down. So as you can see, I mean, Algo from that high to the low that was set actually right in June, we can see about 89%. Now, once this happens, everybody usually, at least retail, like newcomers that are not super used to looking at charts, they give up, they throw in the towel, and they lose sight of basic retracements. And after the blow already happens, after they saw the blood and they saw their $10,000 go down to $1,000, they're ready to give up. These huge crashes and huge liquidations happen because they're effective. It is the best way to really transfer money from the impatient to the patient. And of course, there's other catalysts and cascading effects that can lead to huge crashes like we've seen with Bitcoin liquidations, traders that are over leveraged, and it's really just a ticking time bomb. There's other catalysts like Terra Luna, which was a top project going to zero, wiping billions and billions of dollars out of the crypto ecosystem quickly. And that affects other chains, other projects, also weakens the price of Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes lower, what happens? So does ETH. When ETH goes lower, so do altcoins. And it's just this vicious cycle in this circle. But there's still going to be opportunity. You're going to see assets always fluctuating between all of these moving averages. Historically, when assets are well below, if you're able to DCA and wait, of course, this was a very more so aggressive V-shaped recovery. We came out of it. When we are well below these MAs, there is a high probability that we can still get these pushes up to 50 cents and 70 cents for Algo, really looking at this back test of this zone. So assets are still going to fluctuate. Now, this example right there is just 140% from the low. I was measuring that because we're seeing other assets like QNT go up 220%. So I wanted to see what type of ROI that would be from the June low up to this previous level where we have this triple bottom. So super interesting. We're going to go over a few assets. I just want to show you what I'm looking at because I do believe there's going to be assets that absolutely pop. And I know there has been plenty, but I'm just focused on the ones that are lagging. Unfortunately, like Algo HBAR, legitimate assets, sometimes I think since they're so popular, sometimes they are the last ones to move, which can be frustrating, especially when I hold a lot more of those. But that's when the patience is tested. So for every altcoin in this video that we're going over for this example, we are just focused on this March-April high. So in this case for Algo, it is, let's just say March 31st, April 1st. Now others might be, you know, the last week of March, some or even the first week of April. But what we're doing is just doing a basic fib, wick to wick, swing high, swing low. You can go to candle bodies if you want. And remember, we have seen DAG come up to the 382. We've seen Energy Web Token come up to the 382. We've seen other assets make it up to the 786 like QNT, Ethereum Classic. We've seen Uniswap come up to the 702. I have several dozen assets that are reaching up to these levels. And right now I'm showing you Algo as an example, and we're still down here. We're stuck in this range, just consolidating. We need to see if we can get a breakout. Now talking about the Bitcoin price chart, the same thing. We're pushing up to 25K, which is great to see, but we could be stuck in this range. We could be under 25K, we could be under 30K for a very long time and just going sideways, bouncing between 20K and 30K, 50% fluctuations. And altcoins are going to be moving in different orders. So that is why I'm focused on the alts that are down here, because I believe they simply have to catch up long term. And that's why I'm focused on alts that are still in this consolidation pattern, well below the 236, whereas we're having dozens of assets reach up to the 382 and even higher levels. So it's a game of battling through each of these retracements. Algo has to get up into the 40s. Then let's see if we can come up and tag the 50 cent area near that 382 in those previous wicks. And then if we break through that, we can potentially get up to 70 cents. So let me show you a few examples. And just so you know, everything I'm showing you right now for Algorand at this level can apply for XRP, HBAR, and a few others. So we have QNT doing the same exact thing, coming up to these previous levels, really starting moving. I mean, we have some nice bull flags reaching this 200 MA, the red line, coming all the way up to the 786. Through this 200 MA as well. And here's a few other assets that I think will absolutely pop. So we have Filecoin. It has done it from the March-April high across the board for assets on the daily time frame, from that low in this very tight flat. And you can see out of nowhere, just boom, we did that 100% pump, which is crazy. But this is what happens when assets crash 90 or 95% down. This is not hype. I'm not saying that everything is going to do a 1000% move. I'm simply showing you after a 90% crash that altcoins can still retrace and come up and tag some of these retracements. Will some only make it up to this area? Will some make it to the 236? Will some make it all the way up to the 702? We have to cross that bridge when we get there, and we have to keep an eye on other assets that are doing the same move. So I have a couple dozen assets that are in front of Filecoin at higher levels, whether it's the 382 or all the way up to the 702. So I'm looking at Filecoin potentially leading for the others like Telcoin that is still down here. We have Glimmer or Moonbeam that's still down here. We have GALA that is also down here, still at 6 cents. My call is I still believe that GALA pushes up to 10 cents. And my personal opinion is there's always going to be some type of catalyst. I know that XLM got that small pump the other day, but I think that XLM, VeChain, a few others have to go a lot higher too. I think they're just undervalued. Now, Glimmer is another one, and I know that the total supply and circulating supply can be of concern, but there is a $100 million DeFi fund back in this project connected to Polkadot. I'm partnered with a variety of assets, including API3, and I do believe that Glimmer can absolutely push up to these levels. You can see, close to $2. That would be insane. Now, if you don't believe in that retracement, I would look at that next level. We're hitting $1. We're coming up to challenge this previous level of resistance. So that would be another ride that I'd be looking at that, could be coming in the coming weeks. I would say within the next 2 months, and I can't time it. I'm simply looking at how these assets can move. So we have Telcoin, we have Glimmer, Moonbeam, and GALA. You can also measure the percent of how much they pumped. We know Q&T did over 200%. We can see that Filecoin did 137%. And you don't have to look at these retracements. You can just look at that next level of resistance. You can see that we're essentially there for Telcoin. We can see that GALA is kind of challenging some of those levels now. And we can see that if Glimmer breaks through the zone, we're going all the way up here to $1 plus. Same thing with Remark, it's RMRK. This is another one that potentially could be breaking out. I know we went over this in yesterday's video, just showing you a couple examples of assets and just showing you a couple examples of assets to keep an eye on. And you can go set some alerts for this on the price chart. And if you are in crypto, one of the biggest mistakes I see people do is they've been in the market for 2 years. I don't care if you believe in technical analysis. You don't have to believe in TA, but looking at a price chart will change everything for you. I believe it'll help you so much. You don't have to know every indicator. If you can just understand basic support and resistance and understand macro trends and understand the concept of trying to buy as low as possible and selling as high as possible and understanding the percent. Price does not matter. I don't care if a token is $4 or 4 cents. Most retailers will say, oh man, this thing's half a penny. I'm going to buy a bunch. I own 1 million. It doesn't matter if you own 1 million tokens. It's about ROI. ROI is the name of the game. You can see 2 days ago, I also had Energy Web token on this list at $2.62. This was 2 days ago before the pop, the same consolidation pattern. And you can see what it did 2 days later. And this is why this is another confluence. I know some people might roll their eyes at this, but look, came right up. Wicked to perfection, the 200 MA, acting as resistance. That's another way to look for additional confluence. Looking at the March-April high, we're going to go all the way down to the wick. Where did we go? Wow, instead of going up to the 382 like yesterday, now we got an additional push. We were at the 50% retracement. And notice this also corresponds with previous levels of resistance. Look, right there and there, tagging it. So that is exactly why I'm doing that with Algo. You can see side by side. So everything I'm showing you, these are not just like crazy claims. I'm not making price predictions. I'm showing you that if this happens, we potentially could be breaking to these next levels or zones to get tagged. You can see right there for Algo, those wicks right around that 382, around 50 cents. XRP is the same thing. And you can see at this next level, we have, multiple points of touching a triple bottom here, and that's right around 67 cents. Now, the most annoying thing for me is that if Algo, HBAR, a few of my picks actually move last, because I could have made more money if I just FOMO'd into Energy Web, Telcoin, or something else that's about to pop off. But I'm simply just sitting patient. I'm not going to FOMO or change my strategy during high emotion. I just have to wait for this to come to pass. So I do believe that GALA is another one. HNT I'm not as certain about. It's definitely interesting. It looks a little weak, but I have seen assets pop up from here. I'm just a little more comfortable looking at, Glimmer looks like it potentially could wake up. I mean, looking at some of these structures, guys, Glimmer is legitimate, and I know it's had, some crazy battles. It crashed 96%. So, I mean, the probability that we can even just come up here to $1 is extremely high. Rose is another one, right up to that 236. So when we're looking at these assets like Glimmer, it's like, do we have that same potential? Absolutely. I believe Glimmer is going to be a top 50 project, guys. This is the entire Polkadot ecosystem. Polkadot got absolutely smashed over the past year, and we can see we are still ranked 10. This is a top 10 project. And if you want to be super conservative, I mean, I would just be saying right there, looking at that next level, we have to break through this zone. We have to get through and actually smash through that like 87, 80 cent area. And then we're en route to $1. You can see that IOTA is not straight up like, Rose or Filecoin, for example. They were just explosive. We're talking in just a matter of days, like 100% in just a couple days. That is what I'm looking for. But nobody knows the timing and nobody knows how well they're going to react when they do go. So for IOTA, notice it's showing signs of strength and going slower. And we're still bouncing from the low, which is great. But what if this is a slow and steady one? So instead of going straight up, maybe this one's just going to do a few wave counts and get all the way up there in September. Casper, same exact thing. You can see another example of the 200 MA acting as resistance. HBAR, same exact thing, using that March-April high across the board. We know that DAG actually made it to this purple box. For HBAR, that'd be up to 13 cents yet again. Now, looking at the narratives, that could serve as a catalyst. We know that DeFi is officially live in Hedera's ecosystem. We know that TVL, what is it, 15 million? It might be up to like 18 million plus. I need to check it. I did see it yesterday. That's growing. NFT ecosystems are growing on Hedera. We saw Google Cloud make an announcement. So exciting. And yeah, I have full faith in Hedera. I'm just annoyed if this is going to be like a last mover. We can see the RSI was looking good. We're starting to break out of this range. We're starting to close. I want this to be a popper. I don't want it to be slow and steady. You can see XLM still is yet to come up to these levels. We did get that little pop though. And of course, that's kind of related to that Robinhood listing. And I mean, from high to low, let's see. All right. So we're just going wick to wick for this case, wick and wick. I mean, we made it to the 236. I'm looking at others that are still a bit behind, or at least appear to be, per the Fibonacci retracement. And you can see it's like a game of ping pong, because this crash happened. What happened? We hit the 786 right there. Then it crashes again. What happens? We hit the 618 right there, a back test. Then we crash again. What do? We hit the 382. And I know that rhymes, but look how cool that is. 1, 2, 3 wicks to perfection. And you can see the same thing with HBAR at the 236. This is not me saying everything goes to the moon right now. It could. What I'm looking at is alts to have a month of retracements and start catching up. So we have a variety of assets getting this push. I know Safe Haven is not super liquid, but we got a pop. We got Balancer doing that same move from the March-April high coming up to the 200 MA. So I mean, this is the same concept, guys. We are seeing not just one or two, dozens of assets doing this. And I know it takes a while because I've been saying this for like a few weeks and I'm tired of saying the same thing, but the same thing, in my opinion, is going to come to pass for some of these altcoins. Harmony 1 is looking pretty good, starting to get that breakout, and over the past week, this one has just been printing me money with my bot, like doing very well. So we have API3 doing the same exact thing. We are using the March-April high, just like we have shown with dozens of assets, and from the low, we're approaching that 382, getting really close. And we actually had to take profit at $3, so congrats to everybody that actually hit it. I know some people were smart and probably put it at $2.95 just so you had liquidity. And on KuCoin, we actually went as high as $3.06, or almost $7. Now, API3 is another one that is one of my biggest holdings, including Casper. Why? Because these assets are still younger than the others, and they have yet to ever go and create a new all-time high price. I showed you, even worst case, other assets with even worse tokenomics have still done a 20x return from the low. So after this low, I know it sucks seeing your portfolio go down so hard, but all I've been doing is DCAing, making the most of it, and then when the next bull market does come, you're going to be so happy that you did, in fact, actually take initiative during the hard days. It's always cool watching these wave counts for assets like API3 because of their use case. We're seeing tons of people just market buy it every once in a while. So this is like a really good asset to run bots with. But we can see like wave 1, then all of a sudden we crash wave 2. Everybody's bearish again, but these structures still holding. We have ETH going to higher prices. That means that API3 had to go to $3, and we did. Now Telcoin is another asset we've been talking about, showing the chart, saying that this one is due. We've been comparing it to Rose and a variety of assets. Let me pull up the chart just so you can do a little quick comparison. Same with GALA. There's going to be some catalyst that sends it. I just don't know what. You can see these similarities. We are going to freaking rock it. The RSI is ready. We're about to pierce. I mean, this is what you're looking for. What happens when the RSI pierces up there? It's game time. Another bull flag. Boom. Continued. So, I mean, let's turn the lights on and see if we have fibs. There we go. We are well below the 236. Is that going to be your target? Might be, might not be. What I'm looking at is a push up regardless to challenge these previous levels. You can see that Rose actually broke above it, started consolidating on it, another bull flag, and then boom, made it up to the 236. So it's not going to be overnight. If this one is a big popper, that's awesome. If it's slow and steady, that just means it takes a month or two. It's still going to reach up here. And I mean, even from current price, let's look. That's a 75% ROI. So what I'm doing for full transparency is during the bear market, it's hard to make trades. It's hard to navigate a bear market unless you're actually shorting. But now, once per quarter or every once in a while after these 90% crashes, this is when I'm ready to make bank. because what I do is I just compound. Say I have 5 different assets. I don't have 50. It's too much to keep track of. And what I do is, for example, Algo and Casper, which is kind of annoying because I should have just picked these. But let's say I have $10,000, 2 equal amounts in each of them. Again, at current price for TEL, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to hold it. I'm just going to wait. I mean, we're down 90%. So if we get that 70% ride, I know that was 75. We're just going to say 70. And then boom, boom, 7K profit. Okay, now let's take that 17K and let's go into the next asset that is here. Even if I have to wait 2 months for that to come to pass. This is the power of compounding returns. This is one of the aggressive ways that I've grown my portfolio without leverage trading. And if you're a good leverage trader, awesome, but this is something that really helped me, and this is my wheelhouse. This is what I've been doing for 60 hours per week for several years. So now we took that 17K and we go and compound it and say you get another 70% ride. I mean, just to show you, even from this low, this was 140%. This is double of what I just showed you. Even if you're buying that breakout. That's 80%. So, I mean, I'm still showing you just a 70%. Boom. So remember, you started with 10K. Once you got that ride, you sit and wait. It took forever. People have their doubts. Maybe it doesn't go. Some do though. And if you have a portfolio of, 5 equal amounts and compound it like this, I think that's genius. So 10K to 17K, boom, take it, find the next one. Maybe it's Glimmer. Maybe it does in fact get that pop up here to this next zone. That's still 80%. And starting with 10K, and almost tripling it with 2 trades. Now remember, what if you also had another 10K in here if you had equal amounts across the board? If you can't do that, what portion of your portfolio can you spread evenly? Maybe you have $500 and 5 assets. If that's something you're comfortable with and risking, because crypto is risky. I'm not saying any of this is guaranteed. This is crypto. I've had plenty of losses. You can get consecutive wins during a retracement or a bullish cycle. It can get very powerful. And if you don't believe in this and you want to hedge your risk, I'd be setting a stop loss. So if you have a huge amount in Telcoin, let's say you did have a stop loss, down at the zone, that's okay. That is worth it for me. The ROI potential is huge. The risk to reward is insane. It's asymmetric. So really quick, let's just say you had 10K and you were able to compound this. And let's say this took 5 years. 5 years. I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm not saying next month. And you get 70% returns by doing this. 1. Trade 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, trade 9. 9 trades, you're at almost 1.2 million. Now you have $1 million. Yeah, you pay your taxes, you do what you have to do. Even if you have now going forward a 6-figure bag, 10% of that amount. This is what I do, and I'll take that and I'll put it in something. Essentially, if you want to be more conservative, try to get to 20%. If you need a 40%, if you can get 2 of those, it's essentially doubling your money. 100K, boom. Then boom, almost to 200K. So you almost double your money by getting 2 consecutive 40% returns. So I have my long-term holds, I have my trading portfolio, and then I have my cash position to take advantage of dollar cost averaging, because guess what? I'm not going to buy the exact bottom, and I'm not going to sell the top. I can only capitalize on what happens in between. So newcomers in this market, they'll get excited, they'll do research, they'll buy a crypto, they'll hold it, and they basically just cross their fingers and maybe watch YouTube videos and hope that it moons. But then there's the next people, they evolve. They're like, okay, well, how can I generate income from this as well to improve my long-term holds? Maybe they learn about DeFi. Maybe they stake their first asset on Ledger, or start using MetaMask and start using DeFi and do some yield farming, or using liquidity pools with automated market makers and trying to generate yield. And they're like, okay, like things are clicking. Now they're starting to actually use their money to grow their money. And that's why people are excited about Flare networks. But then you can also do macro trades, maybe once or 4 times per year when the opportunity presents. If one asset goes up in your holdings and it's up 200% and the other is still down, take that and go into this one. And this is for my trading bag. If I hold Glimmer and I believe in it long term, I am not selling all of it to potentially throw it and risk it all. I will take a portion that I'm comfortable with that is in profit, and then I will consider putting that into a laggard. That is my trading bag. I have my long-term holds that I never trade. That is just something, each month, every few months, I will actually just add some of my profits into my long-term holds so I can build up my XRP bag. I can build up API3, Casper, DAG, QNT, something that I feel that will be here in the next 5 years. So that way, if my trades suck, I still have my long-term holds. And the long-term holds will probably do very well long-term. When my trades do really well, I can take those profits, buy more long-term holds. If my trades do very bad and I did not get a good entry, guess what? I have a cash position, and that is what I'm using to dollar cost average. I don't want to just dollar cost average once a month or once a day like most people. I want to strategically DCA. Do you want a dollar cost average after an asset has done, 500% or a 1000% move? Not necessarily. So instead of taking that 500 per month, boom, 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 and putting it in and eventually having, $2,500 or $5,000 in that bag, and then your average entry is not down here, it's actually up here, and that's where you break even at $1. What if instead of dollar cost averaging, you actually save $500 a month, and that is your cash position, your cash portfolio? So like 25%, sometimes more, but right now it's about 25% of my entire investment portfolio is in cash. I know some will say, oh, that's stupid, inflation's eating it away. No, because when you have cash and alts crash 50%, I can buy that. When it crashes 90%, I can buy that. And then my dollar cost average gets dragged down so much that I will be back in profit much faster than the average person. Now, one of the hardest things to do, because it's hard for me, I still FOMO. I have that feeling like, oh, I wish I want to deploy this cash right now, but I don't. And if I do FOMO, I still make sure that I have cash reserves for the worst case. And the hardest thing is when I talk with friends about this strategy, I feel like they're like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and completely disregard it. But it could have saved them so much because they say, yeah, but I can't imagine, stacking up my money. And I want to put it in crypto now because what if it goes up? Well, the probability that you're buying the bottom is incredibly low, which means even if it takes 6 months, the asset will come lower or challenge that level again, and you're going to have more money for a better entry. And you can set staggered buy limits. So, ETH is doing great. Awesome to see this pump. The higher this pumps, the more the altcoin market's going to push up. So Ethereum Classic, QNT, Uniswap, a variety are up here. Let's actually do the exact opposite and say that we're super bearish on ETH. Coming into this merge, we think this is a mega bull trap, which is entirely possible. So if you do have money to dollar cost average, I think it's still better to stagger your entries. Stagger when you buy and you stagger out when you sell. You don't just have one take profit. Although it could work out, it's a little risky. So if you had $1,000 to invest, what if you just wait patiently, do nothing with it, set the limit and wait? You have 333, 333, and 333 here set to buy if and when. Now, if it doesn't happen, yes, I know there's an opportunity cost of setting that. And if ETH does in fact just go and rocket and you're like, oh man, I wish I just FOMO'd in. That is true, but there's always going to be another opportunity. There are always new altcoins that are new. There's new funding and angel investing opportunities in crypto. So this capital, at least it's saved instead of being crashed 90%. So we're going to call it a day after this because this video got way too long, but looking at the total market cap of crypto, we can see we're still in this trend dating back to 2013. So almost 10 years of price history. The crypto market went from millions to billions, and then 1 billion times 1,000 is 1 trillion. So it's just crazy to see this growth. We're still at $1.195 trillion. And people will still call it a scam. Even if you do think, okay, it's, a Ponzi and this is high risk. This is the same concept that applied to the FANG stocks. You have Facebook, you have Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. And I know people say, yeah, but most of the websites failed. Absolutely. And most of the altcoins will fail. But I'm asking you, out of these top 300 or top 50 or top 10 in 5 years, which of these altcoins will be the primary layer ones? Which will be the primary oracles? Which will be the primary store of value? Which of these altcoins are potentially the future FANG stocks for Web3? And are you holding any? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe. All links can be found in my link tree linked in the video description, and I will catch you in the next one.